First of all, thank you very much for clicking on this episode. It's going to be a little bit different than the norm. I figured I'm going to try to speak as authentically as I can about the overall concept of the vlog, which I wish and I hope it will be an authentic representation of what I believe is a good life one can live. As you can see from my outfit, I am a full-on controversy in many regards. Most of us are very confused in the modern world, how we should dress, what we should be, how we should behave, what we should do. And just like anyone else, I feel the same level of frustration and confusion, and I seek guidance. And I've been seeking guidance for a very long time. And I believe after actively pursuing an answer for about 4 decades, I came up with some solutions that I feel is guiding me towards a path that feels right, that seems right. I'm wearing a South American poncho. I have an African necklace. I look like a surfer since I live in Los Angeles and I have long hair. I sound like a European. And this all might not make sense for most people. But it might just be that an authentic way of existence shouldn't make sense for anyone else beside you yourself. I'm sitting seemingly in nature, yet the cars are whizzing by me. We all seek perfection, and we miss the moment. I always wanted to have the perfect setup, the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect activities, perfect wellness, perfect situations. And oftentimes in the pursuing of perfection, we miss the opportunity to see the gifts of the present moment. But what guides us to the present moment? Long time ago, I was biking, and a fellow biker came across my path. And according to him, I biked suboptimally. And he vocalized in a very profound way his beliefs about me, my family lineage, and my skills as a biker. And he actually stopped and pursued physically to persuade that I should not be practicing bicycling. And I stopped as well, and I allowed my emotions to overtake me as well. And I did engage in the same level of communication what this other biker presented to me. Now, I was very surprised when this biker took his helmet off, and with his helmet, he swung at my face and hit me in the face with the bicycle helmet, which immediately made my mouth bleed. And at the time, I felt like the emotions overtook me enough that I became physical with this individual. And after a couple of strikes, I realized that this other individual had not so much capabilities physically as his actions pointed to. At the same time, I saw from the corner of my eye that the policeman was approaching. Therefore, I stopped. I didn't pursue any kind of majorly violent actions. And while I stopped and looked at the policeman, this biker grabbed his bike, lifted it up, and he shoved his own bike into my leg. And the wheels of the bike's pedal has those teeth. And those teeth sunk themselves into my shin. And I was so taken by the violence of the situation and the implications of the moment that it allowed me to witness the situation from the outside. And suddenly a calmness came over me and I relaxed. I turned away from the guy toward the policeman who was running towards us. And I turned around and I walked away. The scar that was inflicted on my leg was quite deep. It took several days for it to heal, and there was a scar, a scab that left behind. And I kept looking at that scab. And a Native American fable came to mind. A Cherokee grandfather was teaching the youngster about the human soul. And he described the human soul that is a constant battleground for two different wolves that constantly were fighting in this battleground. One wolf was kind, virtuous, pleasant, and cooperating. And the other one was violent, harsh, and confrontational. And these two wolves were constantly fighting in that battlefield. And the youngster was asking the grandfather, and which one of the wolves won? And the grandfather answered, the one you feed. I looked at my scab, my scar on my leg, and I realized they looked like a bite mark. And I decided I wanted to use that bite mark as a reminder for myself in every situation to make a decision. Which one of the wolves am I willing to feed on my path? Sometimes these wolves are not so obvious. Therefore, I changed the definition for myself. Negative and positive. Which one do I want to feed? When it comes to emotions, when it comes to psychology, when it comes to physical actions. And suddenly a tool appeared to me that showed up as an ancient guidance that rose from within. Today it's very easy to gather interesting information, important information from YouTube, from TED Talks, from books, audiobooks. You don't even need to read things anymore. But this answer showed up from within. Which one of these emotions I was going to feed? Which one of these polarities I wanted to embrace and practice moment by moment came to me as a tool that helped me tremendously. And when I started to walk up on difficult paths in life, walking up on a mountain which was very high, I came across people on the path and the trail that's been on the top already. And they were all telling me about their experiences. And I got an idea how interesting it will be to be up there. Their experiences were diverse and different, colorful, exciting and scary, wild and calm, tiring and resting, enlightening and boring and disappointing. All of them educated me on the path. But once I got up on that peak of that mountain, but I realized that the view was quite different than anything that I was told. I saw some clarity from the top. The clouds were not there, as I was told by one of the fellow hikers who I met early on the trail. There were no clouds anymore, because by the time I got up there, everything was clear. The sun was high. I was not cold, because I started quite late. The early risers already were gone, so it was not crowded. I was alone on the top. I looked around and I had a 360-degree view of my surroundings. The sun was sparkly and I saw far in the distance. And I realized that my experience, the clarity I saw that day, is a metaphor for everything else. We can be told about life. We can be told about ideas. But practicing and witnessing and experiencing them ourselves, is another deal altogether. And the only way to see the peak, if you're willing to go on your own pace, at your own pace, put your own 2 feet, one after the other, disregard what anyone ever tells you, Wear the gear, whatever you believe is fitting. Be willing to embrace cold and hot, rain or even snow, dryness and wetness equally. And go the way you feel comfortable, the way how it makes sense to you. And that is what I've been trying to do. Trying to embrace authentically my interests, my beliefs, based on my 4 decades of searching for answers. I am looking for success. I am thriving for success. But success changed throughout the years. I used to buy into the success purely based on how others look at you, how much money you have on your bank account. And though I believe those things are important, at least they are important to me. If they were not important, I would not be living in Los Angeles, one of the most expensive cities in the world. But that's okay. It's okay to care about money. It's okay to care about success. As long as success is an authentic success for oneself. The challenges of tension, the challenges of doing versus being, the challenges of knowing versus experiencing, the challenges of emotional intelligence versus experiences based on reading and being told. All of these represents a level of success to me, and the combination of it all resonates in us as an authentic success, which means a lot to me now. The confusions based on my experience come from not acting on my own principles, the principles that are truly resonate with me. When I act on someone else's or something else's principles, what can happen is that I'm doing the right things, yet it doesn't feel right. I'm behaving the right way, yet it doesn't feel right. When I buckle down and I'm willing to let go of resistance, and I'm able to behave and act and do based on my own principles, then there's an overwhelming sense of peace that comes over me. And that's when I fall into the state of flow. That's when everything comes to me clear. That's when I feel like there's a clarity that's present. And the surroundings doesn't matter anymore. It becomes the experience. And being with the experience, a non-judgmental experience, an experimental experience, which disregards the imperfections of the circumstances of cars, the circumstances of noise, circumstances of disturbance, potential frustration, potential imperfection. And it replaces it with a sense of peace and continuous search for peace. And when that peace is found, doubt disappears. When the peace is found, calmness and energy and a recharge takes over. Is that a linear success? No. There's continuous questions and doubts that show up. And in that moment, I ask, which one of the wolves do I want to feed? Which one of those energies do I want to enhance in my life? And I find the path again. And then, at one moment, I become brave. And I close my eyes. And with closed eyes, I search for the path with my other senses, the ones that usually I don't use when it comes to guidance. And I grow bigger. The rest of my senses expand. And then I close down all my senses. and I just want to feel the path. And then the path widens. And I realize that the path has always been very, very wide. It just seemed narrow. The possibilities, the path towards the peak is innumerable. And I always believed there was one path, one way, the authentic way. But the authentic way changes, and it broadens, and its importance dissipates once you give in to the idea of experiencing it all by letting go. What all this means? It's a journey. But once you become authentic and you let go, you realize that there is every way. And you just need to be willing to walk that path. And then once you experience it, you realize it was something else, not what you thought it would be. It turns into something completely different. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for opening up your mind. This is not an answer. It's more like a question. And hopefully in about 10 years, I will be able to answer differently.